This is Kate Norby from Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects, and you are listening to Without Your Head.
All right, we're back here at the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm still Nasty Neil.
And I'm still Mama Creepy.
Mm-hmm. And now we're joined by Jamie Brown. He's a filmmaker, and his new movie out, what's coming out, I believe, next week, Friends Don't Let Friends. How you doing?
How's it going?
Good, thank you. It's good to have you here. So,
thanks for having me. I'm kind of excited, so I hope I do a good job. This is my first time podcasting.
Oh, cool. Cool. I think it'll be.
Take it easy on you.
Because you could tell it's very professional. It's very professional here.
Awesome.
So when is the release date?
The release date is this Tuesday, the 28th. It's been a long time coming. It was a movie that we started about 3 years ago on our own money. We decided that we were going to try and pull off a feature in one night, which if anybody's ever tried it, it's insane, and don't do it.
So, tell us about that. What was the thought process behind like, let's try to do this in one night?
Honestly, I've been working pretty steady in reality TV, from paranormal shows to big dating shows. Because, I mean, reality TV in LA is pretty much kind of that bread and butter job that, you can kind of count on. Like, most of the time, they don't try to burn you when it comes to rate. You can get paid, you can work. And most people have side projects on the side as well. So it works out pretty well. But it was the pacing of reality that I was like, I think I could do this. And but again, I was still a lowly assistant camera and media manager, so it wasn't quite the full creative side.
So, were you going to use that like as part of the marketing in a way? Like, movie was filmed in one night.
In the beginning, I think we were going to basically that was going to be like our big, like, we pulled this off. And to the credit of our entire crew, who were amazing, and we did a lot in one night for what we definitely didn't do a feature in one night, because we shot in Joshua Tree and it was 32 degrees. And 90% of the movie takes place outside. So we ended up doing is coming back after that night and kind of looking at the footage and going, we could do so much more if we have more time. Because even in the beginning, I had thought, if we're going to do it in one night, there'll be a lot of like cutaway type death scenes, and there'd be a lot of I knew that we wouldn't get a chance to do the crazy stuff that we wanted to do. And the moment I knew that we couldn't do it all in one night, I was like, okay, well, let's start reverse engineering it, see what parts could have this, like the guts that we wanted and the intensity that we wanted, and kind of build them out more. And I think it actually helped the movie a lot.
So,
were you now did you write the script as well, or?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you come up there? What was the inspiration behind it? Or where did you get the idea behind it for the movie?
Well, for me, I was a foreign exchange student. When I first came to the U.S., I came over from Scotland. And there's no accent. I even if you try and listen for distinct little pieces, I moved to Virginia, and I guess my accent was the first thing to assimilate. So, but I kind of grew up like in Virginia with mostly like friends as family, and very much the way when you move to like a new city or like LA, especially, you kind of create those friendships that are stronger than family in some respects. And that was kind of the genesis for it. It was like, what would happen if, because I always joke, like, I'll help you bury a body, like I have certain friends, I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll help you get rid of the body. We're good. Like, we're cool like that. I know. And it was that joke that kind of kept going on. And a buddy of mine who actually became a producer on the film too. He used to have a bumper sticker on his truck that was the "Friends will help you move, but real friends will help you move bodies."
Nice. Yeah.
And it was around the time I was writing it. I remember I saw it at an Army surplus store again, and I was cracking up, and I was like, I know I want to shoot in Joshua Tree. I had been on a shoot out there for about 3 months before, and I had just was amazed by that whole world. It's this little hippie, it's just such a cool place. Visually, it's amazing in every way. You go out there and it's empty but dangerous at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. I was completely in. And that was kind of I had met Brittany, who plays the lead Stephanie. I had met her on the shoot in Joshua Tree, and her and I had decided that we were we're tired of, working on other people's stuff and not making our own stuff. And, we were we can do this. We could do a movie. Let's figure out how to put a movie together. And I was I want to do a horror. The only thing I want to do is horror. If I do a chick flick, it's for money. Let's put it that way. And it'll be for a lot of money. I'll be at least going 3/4 of my house is paid for by, You Can't Kiss Me in St. Louis or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And, but I knew I was going to do a horror film, and she was honestly, I just want a character with teeth. I want a character that lets me kind of go wild. And I was okay, I will see what I can do. And and that was kind of where Friends That Let Friends came from, and it worked out. It was such a crazy way to the concept of trying to shoot a movie in one night felt very much like we were trying to do a theater production with a multi-camera rig.
So do you do multiple takes when you're filming all one night? Or do you try to get everything in one take?
Well, what we were doing, we did a few things in one take, but we also did multicam. So we shot it very much the way we would shoot reality in a lot of ways. You'd have 3 cameras on very different lenses, but still try to keep it as voyeuristic as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to try and the goal was always to make it feel like an unethical documentary. We were letting these people do something so bad, but we wanted to still watch. We wanted to be hiding in the bushes, just seeing how far they were going to take it.
Uh-huh. So is this a movie that you also made with your wife?
I did. It was the marriage counseling that nobody saw coming.
Uh-huh.
Because we got engaged and then got married and then continued the film. We got engaged, then 6 months later we started shooting the film while trying to plan the wedding. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a lot. Wow.
And then we got married.
You
and
stress,
then
don't you?
Oh. But the fun part to it was when we got to the point where, everybody meets other couples and they're oh, we're having these arguments over who sleeps on what side of the bed. And we were that's a fight for you guys? You never had to try and boil down how much money you're going to spend on a weekend when you have to pay a wedding fee for this date, but you only have actors for this weekend. And we learned a lot about each other, and we learned a lot about compromise too, because she's a producer too. She is definitely a producer. She's been a producer in television for probably 10 years. But we're both very much people who try to make things work. When it comes to production, we're used to being handed a shit sandwich and trying to make it gourmet by the end. So for us, it was interesting. I think we came out of it better than most people would. And I got the scars and the bruises to prove it, I guess.
Hey, you ended up staying married, so
yeah. I literally have a baby on the way in less than a month, 22 days.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's a very crazy year for us.
Was she, maybe it's stupid. I don't know, personal, whatever. But was she conceived around the making of the movie?
Well, I think somewhere around after our sound mix was complete, I think is probably when he was conceived.
Oh, I'm sorry. The celebration of hey, we got the sound mixed here, and it's a good night then.
Yeah, no, it was.
Things are getting wrapped up. Time to relax a little.
I wish either one of us knew the process to relax. It would be a lot nicer.
Where'd the concept come for the monster in the movie?
The monster, I've always been obsessed with doing plant monsters. I have always wanted to see like a plant-based version of Hellraiser, and I wanted this like the idea that when he goes into the ground, like the entire, because I always kind of sound super pretentious with this, but I apologize, so bear with me with it. But I always think about Joshua Tree is one of those places that when you go, it feels like the whole desert knows you're there. And it has that kind of mentality to where you kind of you have to have like a mental contract to be like, I'm not going to just like damage or tarnish this place, but I also want to walk out of here alive. Can we make that pact now? And I remember thinking about it, and it was like one of those like goofy conversations we were having like very early on, because I never thought I was going to get to have the monster. And on the first shoot, and it was the thing that I was super excited about driving home, because I was like, we get to do it now. Like, I know we get to do a monster now. And then to have the monster kind of go the way he does, it kind of plays a lot to the psyche of the story as well. But for my goal was that the roots of Joshua Tree kind of infected the body, and they kind of like merged with him, and that was where when he comes out of the ground and he's gnarled and his fingers are, these enormous like Joshua Tree roots. I wanted that to be kind of like the desert being like, well, we're going to send this one back, but a little more messed up than it was before.
So, who did the actual makeup for that?
A really cool chick. She's I've been friends with Sasha for I think probably like 9 years since I first came to LA. Sasha Roast. She's really cool. Like, she's been with me we've done music videos, we've done random shorts that never saw the light of day. I had a giant teddy bear monster one. I think was the first one her and I did together. We had it was like a deadbeat dad who was like whose ex calls, and she's like hysterical because she can't find her little girl's teddy bear, and the teddy bear had gone over to the deadbeat dad's house to murder him, and
nice.
It was like we had done this whole setup where the teddy bear was a giant full size teddy bear suit that I built. Like, I hand built myself for a Halloween project one year, and which is interesting because it was the same Halloween that I learned what furries were. But I found out by being dressed up in a giant teddy bear suit, and it was it definitely made new friends. I got a couple of drinks bought for me. Like, I try to keep it as friendly and
you were
as
popular.
I was very popular. I found myself, and I'm a big dude too. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there was a couple of very interesting hand placements, and I was like, all right, well, we need to know that's not how that goes. Like, so it's not really a hashtag Me Too kind of conversation, but it was definitely awkward. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Is it a scene you ever want to revisit, the furry world, or?
I would never do it as a night out. Probably not. So.
It would make an interesting horror movie.
That's very true. I don't think there's been a furry horror film.
I hope to do something like that down the road, because there's definitely a lot of
horror
craziness in that
movie
world.
would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so much craziness in it. But it was, again, I had such a fun night, because it wasn't like it was a fun, like, like kids style, like naive teddy bear. This thing had red glowing eyes, and I had taken those like voodoo necklaces they sell at Halloween stores with the teeth. Mm-hmm. I had taken all those teeth and I had basically like glued them into the mouth so I could look out the mouth, but I had rows and rows of teeth. And yeah, it was an experience. It was definitely a fun Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I think that would
no regret.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I think that would not go over well in the furry community if there was a bunch of sharp teeth in the bear suit.
That's what I thought too. Like,
you never know, but hey, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. What I've learned from LA is there's a fetish for everything.
Seriously.
So what kind of would you have worked on any reality shows we know, and what was that experience like, working on reality TV?
I've had some really good experiences. I've been very lucky. I know some people have had really bad ones. I was really fortunate. I worked on a show called The Dead Files for Travel Channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a paranormal show. I did it for almost 4 years. And I had through the entire shooting of this film. And we actually, my very last day, on set, we were somewhere out in Vermont, I think. So it's a travel show. So you work like 3 weeks a month, you're on the road. Oh, here we go. And it was like one of those really cool, like supportive communities for me. Like, cause they were all production people. They all had worked on movies, had worked on TV, and we were, essentially making an hour-long ghost story every week. Mm-hmm. So it was fun for us, and even from cast to crew, we all had it was a really good supportive community for me. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. But I always think of reality being 21st century porn. Back in the day when people were hurting for money, they would go into the porn industry. Because you'd make a little cash because they were the ones bankrolling a bunch of stuff, and you could, if you're slow on your bills, you could be like, hey, I'm going to go do sound on this random movie that I'll never know the title of, and they'll never have my name in the credits. And I think reality kind of took over that because the networks are paying them, so they don't really have an argument to be like, oh, we can't really pay you. It's a passion project. It's not a passion project. You got $400,000 an episode. We're good. Just make sure my rate and my name's on the check.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So I've had a good experience with it.
Yeah. What would you say? How much reality is in a reality show?
Well, for us, I was actually really impressed because that was one of the questions that I thought I was not going to get the job over because I was very well, what's fake? There's got to be some crazy off the chain fakeness. And it's interesting to see how much of it is real. You go to these places, you have an idea of what's going on, but there's people on your crew who do not. And we would have, for the show that I did, we had one of our cast was a psychic, and we would she had no idea where she was going. She was just told to pack warm or hot clothes. Mm-hmm. And that was as much as she got. And someone picked her up at the airport. Someone got her flight, put her on the plane, picked her up from the airport, took her to the hotel, and stashed her away somewhere as far away from the location as possible. Mm-hmm. And it was always interesting to see how things turned out because we were privy to those 5-hour shoot nights where you go over everything she's seen, which kind of get boiled down to 20 minutes on the show. So it was definitely worth it. I enjoyed it. And it depends on the show too. There are plenty of shows that are brutally scripted to the point of insanity where you're just okay, well, why don't you just get an actor to do it? There'd be more life in this scene. Uh-huh. And then there's stuff where, it's literally a documentary. I've been in the ones where they throw a camera at you and they're chase her. She's running. Go. And you're okay. So.
Off I go. Good thing I worked out this week.
Exactly. But again, it's all interesting. It's just.
Yeah. I'll say you said that you when you were going to make a feature, you knew you wanted to make a horror movie. So were you always a horror movie fan?
Yeah, I actually joke about it. My dad and I were talking about this a couple of days ago because he, when my dad was when I was in utero, because I guess we're talking a lot about babies with us having a baby on the way. And he was telling me that when I was conceived, there was like no sleeping. My dad was a night shift foundry worker, and the nights they had off, they would just stay up all night so that he could stay on schedule. And they would do like David Cronenberg's Rabid and Dawn of the Dead, like midnight features.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he's like, it wasn't until like the mid '80s they would tell you that, you should let your kid listen to Beethoven or like in the womb. And he's like, we were in there listening to like Goblin. Like you were in utero, listening to like the zombies busting through the mall and the motorcycles going. And I was like, all right. I was like, it's worked out so far. I mean, I've been a fan since as young as long as I can remember. I remember when in the UK they banned a bunch of the horror movies. There was a murder that happened and they tried to ban a bunch of movies. And I remember being sent home from school early because I had thrown a fit about it, because I was a very anti-censorship kid early on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I got home and my dad had bought all the movies from the local video store because they weren't allowed to rent them. So it was like Child's Play 2 and like random movies. Even to this day, I'm like, I don't see how this movie would ever have caused what you're talking about here. But there's always a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say were some of your favorite horror movies?
I honestly, I was actually like, I think David Cronenberg's Rabid screwed me up really early on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that was one of those ones, and I think it was mainly that, the finger scene in the operating room.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That for some reason, that scene screwed me up more than them shooting Santa Claus. And I think I saw that movie at like 7 or 8 years old, like far too young to see it.
Right.
But I mean, I loved Dead Alive. I'm all over the place though. Like I loved movies like, for me, it was about owning them all. So we had a big, do you ever remember the V2000 player?
No.
It was an Australian built VCR that was double-sided tapes. And the tapes were probably about 16 inches a piece, like 16 inches by 10 inches, like big block discs.
Oh, wow.
But we bought one because my parents were pretty poor. So they were like, it's cheaper than a VHS. And we found a video store that's got the tapes.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, duh. So we would buy up all of their excess tapes because it was back in the early days of the VHS wars with Betamax.
Right.
And this thing, I mean, I had what was the one with the old people? The old people in the building where they start murdering everybody so they don't have to move. Do you remember that movie?
Sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
Like movies like that and movies like Deadly Blessing.
Uh-huh.
And what else did we have? I mean, Amityville Horror. I had a German subtitled version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it was banned in the UK.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
So I learned a lot about subtitles early on because I had The Exorcist and I think Spanish, or Portuguese. It was a very interesting one.
Wow. That would be really interesting to watch in like Spanish or Portuguese. Like I would totally be about watching that in foreign language. Yeah.
Just so you can stream all of those obscenities in other languages.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So I was wondering how you say like your mother sucks cock in hell in Portuguese. So I always wondered that.
Yeah, exactly. How did I say that? Oh yes, now I know.
Check out my travel pictures.
Yeah.
I'm going to scream this in front of the Eiffel Tower and see what happens. I want to scream this over here.
So where can you see Friends Don't Let Friends this Tuesday?
This Tuesday it comes out on iTunes. It's already on pre-order on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on Amazon. It'll be on most cable networks are going to do it by pay-per-view. So it'll be, I think, Cox and a few other ones. It's going to be up in it's U.S. and Canada. So there's a few cable distribution outlets up there that are going to have it too. PlayStation Network. The list isn't in front of me. It's a good amount of places. It feels really good to see that many places take your movie, which is kind of cool.
Sure. So. Did you screen it at any theater or conventions or festivals or anything?
We did the a festival out in Monrovia, California. So my wife is from the Monrovia area. I'm actually here now, which is funny. I'm not even back where, it's kind of like the suburb, east of Pasadena, I guess. And there's a little film festival here called Action on Film, and they were really great with our feature. They gave us a Friday night showing, and it was the first time we showed it for a lot of our extended family, and it was pretty funny. My wife's family are some of the sweetest people in the world, but they're a little more conservative. They're not as edgy as the typical Hollywood crowd. And they played, the way they set up the movies, they would do a short film and then a feature film for the film festival. Mm-hmm. And the film before us had a full-on gang prison rape scene that went on for about 8 minutes. and I just remember howling laughing because I was like, they think it's mine. They totally think this is it. And I can feel my wife kind of grabbing my arm, and I'm like, hon, just enjoy the moment. Just take it in.
Just enjoy the prison rape.
Just there is 90 people in the theater. Just wait till the
discussion afterwards.
And I was there's 90 plus people in this theater, and everyone is just as uncomfortable because the person next to them is uncomfortable. And I was just taste that in the air.
And you're cracking up.
And I'm dying. And I look over, and my actors are looking up, crying, laughing. And I look over, and my audio guys are like, "Well, we know this isn't yours." It was hilarious. It was one of those moments that lives with me forever.
Mm. So how did yours go over?
Huh?
How did yours go over after the prison rape film?
Probably
everybody liked it. I mean,
prison gangbang there.
Yeah.
You can always say my movie went over better than a prison gangbang.
Now we have something from the DVD box, so I'm good.
There you go. You can go ahead. Mama Creepy said my movie went over better than a prison gangbang.
No, it went well. Everybody jumped at the right spots. Everybody laughed at the right spots. Because it's weird because Friends Don't Let Friends to me it feels more like a psychological horror. Mm-hmm. In a lot of respects, it definitely makes you kind of question your friends, which is what I like the most about it. When I watch it with new people, I see that kind of uncomfortableness where they're kind of scoping out their friends, going, "Well, I'm not a Dave. Am I a Jeb?" and I'm always and if you it's kind of like the old joke about every group's got everybody has a hoary friend, but if you don't, it means it's you. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel about the Stephanie character. Stephanie is very much that character that every group of friends has one. Mm-hmm. But it's if you don't know which one that group out of your group of friends that is, it's you. And that always makes me laugh because I definitely I've embodied each one of those characters at some point in my dating life. I've never murdered anybody that can be proven though, so we're good.
Yeah.
You've hit the bodies well.
I like the.
I know the desert really well now.
I like the poster art.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so the poster art went and became a couple of different versions. The first version is somewhere; it's probably still out there online. It might actually still be on the IMDb page somewhere in the folder section. But it was going to be the four hands holding the shovel, and on the wrists, was carved into the wrist. It would say "Friends don't let friends" on each wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And but as many times as I altered it and tweaked it, it was degrading so much that when we went to our distribution, they thought it was a little too dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let me play with some other stuff. And I really wanted to. This was actually called Retro Poster #1 was the title for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted something that had a lot of Easter eggs in it. And if you look really closely at the poster, you see like a lot of the scenes in the film are done in silhouettes around the poster.
Yeah.
Like down the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I really wanted to play with. I wanted something that you could look back at and go, oh, I can see that now. I don't know. I have something about a rewatch. Like that's something that's really important to me as a filmmaker is having that rewatchability.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hope we got that with Friends to Let Friends. Like there's like when we went through, and I don't want to give away anything, but if you've watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's a scene I really liked. I didn't want to. I wanted to bring it up in a way, but also don't want to spoil it for anybody and ask about it. But it's a
be
really
as cryptic
cool
as you need to be. I'll figure it out.
All right. Well, it kind of reminded me of a scene from Poltergeist. Maybe that'll help.
Oh. I'm trying to think what scene that is now.
Mm-hmm. The best scene in the bathroom in Poltergeist, the original Poltergeist.
Oh, yes. I could see that. I didn't think about Poltergeist during that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny. There's another part that I feel like when I did it, I didn't think about it until after we had shot it, and I remember laughing so hard at myself because I was like, "You idiot!" But there's a moment with where Dave is walking back to the truck, and he's talking to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever seen the movie Lady Hawk?
Yeah, not for a
Haller.
long time though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But there's a moment where Matthew Broderick's like walking through the woods,
mm-hmm.
and I remember working on this in this haunted asylum for Dead Files, and I remember walking around by myself because it was my first show, and they were like, oh no, you got to go get the batteries. They're on the other side of the building. Like, go on down there and grab those batteries. And I'm like, all right, I'm new. I'm gonna do it. And it's 65,000 square feet of electroshock rooms and water chambers and God knows what. It was a crazy experience. And I remember like walking by myself going, you got this. Yeah, I have it too. Yeah, we're good. Like trying to talk like there was 3 of us walking at the same time. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, what an idiot. And I remember that scene from Lady Hawk. There's this moment where Matthew Broderick's like, well, Pierre, did you bring the crossbow? And it's like, I did, Jean-Luc. We're good. We're going to be fine. And you're like, what an idiot. And I remember doing it myself and being like, oh my God, this has to be in a movie sometime.
So, do you plan to do a DVD at some point as well?
We do have a physical distribution through DVD with our distributor. I don't know more about it yet. I know I just approved all the cover art, but I haven't seen more about where it's going to be. I know that they're going to put it on Amazon, but I don't know how much further it's going to go. I think it depends more on the VOD distribution first.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how far you've. Yeah, have you? I don't know how far then you've gotten in like anything like if you do commentary or any kind of type of specials or anything.
Well, we actually started playing with putting together a behind-the-scenes podcast called Feature in a Night.
Mm-hmm. That's
very much a kind of breakdown of how we tried to pull off a feature in a night and all the pitfalls that kind of hit us because there wasn't really anything out there when we were doing this film that made us rethink our crazy idea. Mm-hmm. And so we started putting together this like my wife, myself, and Brittany kind of did a kind of round table, kind of talking about the early process of getting the film made, just casting the film, shooting the film, going back to post, coming back out, and reverse engineering the scenes that we loved and shooting more stuff to fit those scenes and kind of just the struggles of trying to make a movie on your own dime and the like the working class kind of filmmaker mindset, which is, everybody talks about this, like the middle class of indie film has gone away. And it's like, well, yeah, it has. But there's a whole bunch of working class filmmakers out there right now that are bringing in some really cool stuff. So
absolutely.
But the I noticed that earlier was that your podcast is up on your website, which is fdlfmovie.com. And that's just the initials of the movie. If you guys are listening, Friends Don't Let Friends. So fdlfmovie.com. Was there 2 episodes?
I think we have 2 episodes right now, and I think we should have 2 more. Well, 1 more by next week, and we're gonna try and do them weekly. But I want to get the next one out before the Tuesday. So, so it's all new to us. We're still kind of learning it all.
Sure.
I was just looking at the posters. Yeah, the poster artwork is awesome.
If you check out the on Instagram, I actually went in and zoomed in and did some slow passes around them, like little video clips. So that it kind of points out like where you can see the trucks parked and where you can see different, like where people are walking around by themselves and where people are walking around as a group and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, cool. I was actually kind of doing that here on my on the PC. I was zooming in and trying to look on IMDb, but that'll be easier. Check on. Yeah. What's the Instagram?
Instagram is shoot SHOOT the number 4 edit. So shoot for edit. It's my personal one. I've been using it for everything. So there'll be random puppy pictures in there and monsters and film related stuff.
I gotcha.
And soon to be baby pictures.
Soon to be some baby pictures. My goal is to not harbor the entire Instagram with baby pictures. I might just keep those on Facebook.
What's the dog's name, by the way? I see your dog here. Well, you see 2 dogs on your Instagram.
Yeah, but one of those was a friend's dog that was having a sleepover with my dog last week. That sounds so stupid when you say it out loud, but yes, my dog had a sleepover. No, but Buddy's the Ridgeback Beagle, the brown one. That's mine.
Aww,
very cute.
Super cute.
I like to think that he was created by a very, very ambitious beagle and not a very scary Ridgeback on Beagle situation. Because Ridgebacks are, the size of a Great Dane.
I gotta ask too, what's Lock and Key? This is my interest. I like graphic novels, like comics. Welcome to Lovecraft. Is this a horror comic?
Oh yeah, I actually picked that up. I have one of my really good friends is a big comic guy, Jesse Snyder, and he and I've never really been a big comic guy, so I was giving him hell one day about like, give me something that would lure me in. Like, give me, and I have it sitting there. I bought it. I was super excited about it, but I've been so insanely busy. I haven't been able to crack a page of it yet.
I got you. All right. Well, let me know. I'd be interested.
Absolutely, yeah. I actually released 3 horror books this last year. One of the big things about doing a movie that takes so long to make is you start writing something else while you're going through the post process.
Right.
And so I've got about 4 or 5 features, and I started turning them into books because I was I'm not going to get the money to make these right now, but I want to see what they do. So I have a book of short stories about werewolves, which is kind of fun. It's all like dormant DNA transformations, people in bad situations adjusting their DNA to survive. And I have another one that's all production horror stories. That's like horror, like it's like actual horror stories, but from the perspective and situations of people working behind the scenes of TV and film, and which are kind of twisted and fun. Got a little meta with the reality TV stuff, but it's kind of good. I think it's definitely got some twistedness to it.
Yeah. Where will you be able to see get those?
They're both on iBook and on Amazon as ebooks. So
Cool.
There's Hollywood 666 and We Are But Human. Are the 2 short story books.
Where can you follow you and Friends Don't Let Friends?
Come find us on Facebook under Friends Don't Let Friends Movie. Find us on Twitter under Brownwell Entertainment. or Brownwell ENT.
Mm-hmm.
And Shoot for Edit's always good. I will be constantly posting from there. And yeah, I'm trying to think, where else do I have? And of course, our website. Anything going on will be. It's a little busy right now just because a lot of stuff popped up at the same time. So now there's a lot of buttons on there, but I'm going to try and clean that up this week.
Cool. And so you wrote some of these features and you put them in books. Will you eventually make any of them, do you think, into movies?
That's my hope. Yeah, I have one of the books that I have up there is one that I'm really excited to hopefully make next summer. Is the plan? Is a book called Omnivore.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cannibal hipster film. It's kind of fun.
That'd be awesome. I love that idea.
Nothing's more like
zombies and skinny
somebody's got to bring
jeans.
back cannibalism.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah.
I like
I
this.
love cannibal hipsters. That's great.
So like I was just trying to think like they'd only eat like free range people and.
Oh, it's a pretty twisted setup. I don't want to spoil it because there's a couple of cannibal movies going on right now that kind of freaked me out when I started looking them up because I was like But it's I will send you a copy of the book. I think you'll appreciate it.
All right, I look forward to reading that. That's very cool. Well, I want to appreciate coming on tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I hope I didn't stumble over my words far too much.
No, you did good.
So.
You're good.
Oh, you're great. Thanks so much for coming on.
Mm-hmm. And,
awesome.
and
Thank you for
thanks,
having me. I appreciate it.
And thanks, Jessica, for letting us know about the movie.
Yeah, thanks
absolutely.
a lot, Jessica.
She has been one of the coolest mentors I've had in LA. She's been great. So
well, how did that come about? How did she, how did you guys meet, and how did she find interesting stuff?
I had been following her for a little bit, and she's one of those people who's always working. She's always on.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember making a rule with myself that I wanted to only deal with people who were pushing themselves towards a goal. And because I feel like-minded people move forward as a group, it's just one of those things that always works. And I had reached out to her about a project. I can't remember which project it was, but we had talked a little bit, and then mostly I think just Facebook back and forth. And then she's one of those people that if she likes you, she will make sure to get you going the way you need to be going. Like if you're doing something wrong, she's the first one to be like, no. Here's what you need to be doing. Don't waste energy here. Move here. And I love that about her. It's one of those things I am humbled by her on a daily basis, even when she emails me or texts me going, "You're not using Twitter properly. Please make this work." So.
I might need help there. I don't know. I got Facebook down pretty good, but I'm just not a big fan of the Twitter. But I'd realize I probably should use it more. I know she gives people hell sometimes for not using hashtags.
Become one with the Twitter.
I've seen her yell at people for not using hashtags correctly.
Yeah, and I'm notorious for that. I think that was the last time she gave me a correction. But I always joke because I say that with no meanness whatsoever because she's one of those people. If she didn't care, she would just let me keep screwing it up. So that's the mentality she has with everybody, and I love that.
Cool. All right. Well, again, thanks, man, for coming on. It's been awesome.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate it. And you all have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you as well.
Good luck with the movie, and good luck with the baby, too.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
The first guest was from Canada, so the being Thanksgiving didn't matter too much because she didn't celebrate it. But thanks for doing it on Thanksgiving. I know it's obviously a family day. No, I appreciate it. It was good. I just gotta come back in and try and get my dog up from a nap now because he's probably just been turkeyed out. We'll see. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. You as well. Get some leftovers. Will do. All right. See ya. All right. Bye. All right. Bye. Well, I think Mama Creepy is go. I think we should probably wrap it up. What do you think? I think so. I'm pretty good. I am 2 nights here in a row. giving people a lot of
been a
good stuff.
week.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah,
up
it's
here
been a
next-
great week.
Definitely. Next week will be Debbie Rashawn on the show, and we'll have the
And-
666 list of
We've got
Scream Queen.
we've got
And,
Salem.
Mm-hmm.
Salem. Salem. I'm sorry right now. I cannot pronounce your last name.
We'll
I
find that
apologize.
out next week. We'll find out how to say the last
But
name.
he is the director of Spider Darlings, and he'll be coming on right after Debbie Rashawn, who is also one of my favorite Scream Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And so really excited to talk with her next week. So that will be a great show.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Lots of fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and then the week after that, it's Scream Queens month is going to extend an extra week into December, and we will have we mentioned earlier, Adrienne Barbeau on the show, and that same week she
Yes.
is going to be accepting the After Midnight Award at Coolidge, which is really cool. I was there last year when they did the first one, and they gave it to Lloyd Kaufman, and the video's up on the Without Your Head YouTube. And they give me the okay to film it this time too. So I'll be filming the whole her speech and then giving the award, and then I won't be able to film the fog on 35 millimeter after that, but it'll be a good time.
That is so cool that you'll be doing that. I am extremely jealous that you get to be there. I would love to be there for that.
Yeah,
So
maybe
people should
sometime.
head out to the Coolidge. I wish there was a theater here like the Coolidge.
Yeah, I love
Because,
the Coolidge and the Brattle are two great local theaters. I say Boston, but they're actually Brookline and Cambridge. But everyone calls every city around Boston. And so if you're in that area, go out. And if you're not, you should at least look. Maybe there is a theater like that near you. If there is, you should definitely get up there and support it, because there's not many theaters like that left. And if people don't support them, then they won't exist. And
absolutely.
when they go
Support
away, they
independent
usually don't come back.
theaters.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I've been really
Those are the
happy with
theaters.
for the Coolidge lately, because a lot of the stuff I've been to have been sold out. So they must be doing really well. So that's a good thing. And it's good to see people interested in watching these older movies.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool. Well, that will be fun. It's going to be, we've just got jam-packed shows coming up straight through the end of the year. It's going to be great.
Definitely.
Good.
All right. Well, this is Nasty Neil.
And this is Mama Creepy.
And this was Without Your Head.
Hi, this is Jessica Cameron, and I'm on WithoutYourHead.com.